You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma podcast. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode. Excited to share this episode with you today. But before we do, I've got to thank our sponsors. First of all, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. They've been a huge part of this podcast for the last few years. So the Oklahoma Hall of Fame have been sharing Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com. And for daily updates, go to oklahomahof on Instagram and give them a follow. Our other sponsor today is Chickasaw Nation. Now, the Chickasaw Nation have sponsored pretty much everything in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma. And it's an honor to have their name and their brand supporting this podcast. A huge shout out to Governor Anatoby for supporting this podcast. It really means a lot. Our third sponsor is Diffie Ford Lincoln down in El Reno. Now, this one makes me so happy because these guys are great friends of mine, play a lot of golf together. I've bought my cars from them, do most of my oil changes down there, have a cup of coffee, hang out down in El Reno. It's a good spot to go. And not only are they great friends, but they provide a great service. So for over 60 years, third generation family owned Oklahoma business down in El Reno. They're also in Bethany as well. So people in the Bethany area know the Diffies really well. But if you're looking for anything new, used, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, I'm sure they could find anything you want. Check them out, diffieford.net, and then on Instagram at diffiefordlincoln. This podcast is brought to you by the Oklahoma Beef Council on behalf of Oklahoma's 50,000 beef farming and ranching families. We are working hard every day to bring high-quality beef to your table. To learn more, visit oklabeef.org, linked below. This episode is presented by the Choctaw Nation. The Choctaw people have a rich history and a bright future. At the Choctaw Cultural Center, you can take part in a story 14,000 years in the making. Stroll through our immersive exhibits portraying Choctaw life from the moment our ancestors emerged from the Nani Weha in Mississippian homelands to the Trail of Tears, where we lost so many loved ones, and finally to the modern-day tribe making a positive impact on local communities throughout southeastern Oklahoma. Try your hand at our social dancing and stickball and learn more about our vibrant culture through demonstrations, workshops, and classes. The kids will have a blast in our Luxie Activity Center. The Choctaw Cultural Center is more than a museum. It's a living, breathing experience. Visit choctawculturalcenter.com to plan your visit. And let's get into today's episode. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, host, back with another episode down at the Capitol building today. First time I've stepped foot in this building since renovation. I went in the wrong door, walked up the steps, took a left, and I was like, hang on a second, this door's closed. But it looks fantastic in here. I got some time after we record this to look around and see it. But yeah, it's been over 3 years since we last sat down together.
Wow.
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
A lot has changed since then.
Yeah.
A lot. I mean, I've done a lot of podcasts and you've done a lot of tourism stuff, and played a lot of golf, which is good. But ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lt Governor Matt Pinnell to the podcast again. I will post a link to our previous episode so people can kind of learn your origin story, who you are, what you do. Today we can just chat. And you're a golfer, so we can talk mostly about golf.
Whatever you want, man.
But I guess last 3 years, I mean, being in the travel industry, going through COVID, going through a major rebrand, like all of that stuff. I mean, I love seeing people reposting pictures of the travel stops, right?
Yes.
You know, and as someone who travels a little bit, you get to appreciate that, right? And when you're on the road, you kind of look for the greatest gas stations or like Love's or Buc-ee's, whatever it is, and travel stops. And I would say we definitely have some of the best. But tell me what's been, get us up to date.
When you told me that we met in January of 2020, I mean, we met right before the world changed, which is, really good timing to come back, after, knock on wood, we've turned a corner on that global pandemic and kind of the state of our tourism industry and where we are today. And I mean, I can tell you, this is perfect time to be doing this podcast. I don't know if you timed it this way, but this is National Travel and Tourism Week this week. Yes.
There we go. Perfect.
So, every single day we're posting multiple things about the power of travel and how important this industry is to the state of Oklahoma. It is still Oklahoma's third largest industry. But even more impressive than that, last year was the best year in state history for our tourism industry. Over $10.2 billion in direct visitor spending. in the state of Oklahoma, which is an all-time record. So we're on to something as a state. You know, from a 30,000-foot view, I can tell you we're on to something. What we're doing is working. The programs that we've put in place are working, but some of that was due to, yes, a global pandemic. You know, a lot of states were shut down for a very long time. We were not. You know, I tell the story. I've been telling the story a lot over the last month. I ran into a couple in Oklahoma City who came up to me after I was giving a speech and said, "Hey, you know, you were talking about us and my family." I said, "Well, what are you talking about?" I said, "Well, we lived in Denver during COVID, and Colorado state parks were shut down, and my wife and I love state parks. We were looking for a state park system that was just open during COVID, and Oklahoma's was the only state park system that was open. And so we came to Oklahoma. We hit 6, 7 different state parks, and then he looked me in the face and smiling, because guess who now lives in Oklahoma?" So, you know, it does work when we can get people to the state. Oklahoma sells really well. Some of that due to, you know, just perceptions that people have, and we really blow people away, sometimes literally, with the wind that we have here. The wind does come sweeping down the plain still in the state, but we truly punch above our weight when it comes to this our tourism industry. We're so authentic, so unique, and we're really showing a whole lot of muscle right now. And it's an industry in Oklahoma that is a real star for the state.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a product of that too, right? Like, I'm wearing cowboy boots today. I've been here 12 years now. You know, and that's the struggle I have. Like, you know, I tell my friends, my high school friends came, you know, like the year after I graduated, I said, just come over.
Yeah.
Right? You got a free place to stay. We'll go somewhere else, but just stop for like a weekend, and we'll go somewhere else.
Right.
And they did, and they've come back, you know, since as well.
Yeah.
So they love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's so much going on. You know, you talk about the state parks, and obviously there's been an up and down. And if you watch the media, if you don't live under a rock, there's been things that are happening. But we're getting back to it. I had Shelly on the podcast. She's She's doing, you know, she's in the thick of it, right?
Oh yeah.
She's new. We're getting after it. It's great to see, and I think you're right. You know, you've got so much going on. The other thing, you know, you talk about travel and tourism. We have Route 66 Festival coming up, right?
we do. Yeah. So, you know, a big theme of my office is just playing to your strengths as a state. And Oklahoma needs to start there. Like, what do we have that no other state has? What are we good at that other states aren't good at? And you know, it's that SWOT analysis, right? Your strengths, your weaknesses, opportunity costs, those type of things. Well, in Oklahoma, we have the most famous road in the entire world, and we have more miles of it than any other state. So let's not make this harder than it has to be. Let's start there and focus on promoting the most famous road in the world, and that is Route 66. And not only is there American Renaissance kind of happening in America today, you know, you've got a lot of disheartened Americans and tourists that are just looking for America and smiling faces and small whimsical towns lined with American flags. Like, we have that in Oklahoma. And we have the kind of the most Americana road in the state as well, and 400 miles being Route 66. We have the Centennial coming on Route 66. So 4 years from now is the 100-year birthday of Route 66. So the timing couldn't be better. And that we have all this national attention. There'll be a national road ahead partnership is what it's called, kind of this national umbrella that's going to be pushing this Centennial. But really the game changer for us in Oklahoma is what we did last legislative session. We passed a bill and created the Oklahoma Route 66 Commission, not Centennial Commission. We already have a group planning the birthday party. We created another commission that's basically the easy way to explain it. It's basically like a tea set for Route 66. You know, the tobacco settlement fund, you know, that spends money advertising why kids shouldn't be smoking and living healthy lifestyles. We created last legislative session a fund for Route 66 development, and it's $6.6 million a year. It's capped at 6.6. So as long as sales and use tax is good, we'll hit the cap at $6.6 million a year for 4 years. That's real money anywhere. Yeah. And so we got $25 to $30 million that we're going to be able to invest in Route 66 communities. So I couldn't be more excited to see the growth that we're going to see city. Most of these towns are in rural Oklahoma. And tie that 400 miles together to truly be a worldwide destination for tourists that are looking for the greatest American road trip. I mean, if that doesn't sell, nothing sells. And we've got it. And I really think 4 years from now, when we're celebrating the 100-year birthday, Oklahoma is going to be again the star of the show because of it.
Yeah. So that money then, does that go to, like, is that if somebody has a business, that the first thing that came to mind, sadly during COVID, is so many family businesses dropped. And one of the first places I went to when I came here was Ann's Chicken Fry on 39th
Sure.
Street. And just inside the building is incredible, and now it's nothing.
Right.
Does that money go to like the cities, or does it kind of go to some of the businesses, or someone propose, say, hey, I'd love to have a stop on Route 66. Can I put it? How does that work?
It's kind of all of the above. Okay. It's nonprofits, a city, and you could have a business, join with a nonprofit to fill out the paperwork. We put rules in place for this a few weeks ago. We've named the commissioners, and I hope we're meeting within the next couple months just to have our initial meeting, and then we're going to open it up to communities to start submitting proposals. It does not have to be a matching grant. It can be, but it doesn't have to be a matching. The matching portion could be volunteer hours, because we know a lot of these communities don't have even $1,000 if it was a $2,000 bench project. But this is more between $25,000 and $2 million level projects. So these are serious projects that are going to truly lure more tourists to their communities.
Yeah. I had Reese was also on as well from the Route 66.
Yeah.
Oklahoma Route 66 Association.
Yeah, Yoda. Our Route 66 Yoda.
He's great.
Yeah.
And one of the things we talked about was just like the buy-in from so many towns. And I think the one that comes to mind is like Sapulpa. Just fully bought into the Route 66. Their Christmas shoot was incredible.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're making national news from that.
Yeah, the community has to be in on this. And I've been pretty honest with communities about it. Tulsa, Oklahoma City, obviously they're going to get theirs because they're the big urban areas. But then you've got, 43 other communities along, from Wellston to Chandler to Eric out in western Oklahoma. We fully recognize that they don't have large budgets, but we have to have a unified front in the community. It's hard for us to go in if a city council or a mayor says, hey, we don't want to do Route 66. Well, their loss. It's going to be their loss over the next 4 years, and frankly into the next decade.
Yeah, it's incredible. I love it, and I need to do it. I haven't done it yet.
Oh, you'll love it.
Yeah, my parents have done, I'd say, a third of it.
Yeah.
It's like it's Americana, right? It goes back to the Cars movie.
It does. Which the female character in Cars is a woman at the Rock Cafe, and so she is the model for that movie, which is such an amazing story, and she's amazing. The Rock Cafe right there, on Route 66 here in Oklahoma. But there's so many stories like that. I would tell you, start at the Round Barn and look at what they're doing, because that's just right outside of Oklahoma City in Arcadia area. But the Chicken Shack that moved, almost right next to the Round Barn, and there's all of this private investment. The Pop gas station is right there as well. That corridor. It is basically the closest thing that we have now in Oklahoma to kind of what Arizona has. The man on the corner statue, and people say, "Gosh, why can't we be doing what Arizona's doing?" We're doing it. We're absolutely doing it, and we have a whole lot more towns in Oklahoma than they do in Arizona when it comes to 66.
Yeah, it's just somebody made a famous song about it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Which we'll get there. You mentioned, the perfect transition from Cars movie into the movie industry in Oklahoma. That's really exploded since we last talked as well.
It absolutely has. I never thought that I would be involved at a level that I am when it comes to film and television production. We have a rebate. We have a cash rebate program in Oklahoma. Incentives do matter. We have to make sure that it is a good return on the investment for the taxpayer in Oklahoma. And right now it is. We have a $30 million capped rebate, cash rebate program. And so that means, someone films here, they give us receipts when they're done, and we give them a cash rebate back. So it's pretty clean and easy to understand it and to track it. But we've had a number of movies filmed here since we were talking. I mean, January 2020, Killers of the Flower Moon was certainly on our radar. I was kind of the lead negotiator on that, kind of negotiating with their team. Got thrown into the deep end on that deal because that ended up being by far the largest production in state history. We have Twister 2 here right now, literally filming right now in the Oklahoma City and El Reno area. We're very excited about that. Reservation Dogs, which is a wonderful series with Native representation. It is filming, I think, their third, maybe they're on their fourth season now. Tulsa King was filmed in the Tulsa area with Sylvester Stallone recently. So, Oklahoma is having a moment for sure. But what I have to make sure it's not just a moment in time, and that we actually build out crew bases and we're, trainings with career tech and that we have more soundstage infrastructure around the state of Oklahoma. If we do that, if we get the three legs of the stool, then Oklahoma can absolutely compete with Atlanta, Georgia, and some of these other states that are getting into this because, folks are tired of filming in California.
Yeah, you've got to take advantage of that, right? When the spotlight shines on you, you have to put that, and a lot of people don't think about the school side of it.
That's right.
You've got to put the ground foundation under it and build that to sustain it. If somebody comes again and says, hey, we just had a great time recording in Oklahoma, let's do it again. And not to mention we have 4 different ecosystems here, so you can pretty much film anything you want. You
can film whatever you want, and what I've learned is it's a small family. I mean, if Martin Scorsese has talked about how much he loved filming in Oklahoma. When Martin Scorsese goes and tells people that, that causes a whole lot of ripples throughout the industry that, hey, maybe we should be looking at the state of Oklahoma. So there's a lot of business that we have a lot of conversations right now with some particular projects that I can't talk publicly about, but that we hope that we will be able to talk publicly about in the near future.
Yeah. What's it like being, you mentioned thrown in the deep end. What's it like being on a negotiating table? What are you negotiating? What's that like?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was, thankfully, I was working with a gentleman that at the time with Imperative Media, Apple kind of came in kind of on the back end of this. So I was negotiating, how much and multiple years payouts and those type of things. I was working with some folks who were very professional. They were great to work with. I won't mention their names because I don't know if they would want me to or not, but man, they were really easy to work with. It was a tough negotiation at times, but we got it done. But I mean, honestly, it was a very good. I had a very good stories from the Killers of the Flower Moon negotiation. Now, I have not had good experiences on other productions that I won't talk about, but and that's par for the course with any industry. I mean, we have a lot of above the fold headlines right now with a lot of businesses looking at Oklahoma. I'm involved in some of those as well, but sometimes it's going to work for both parties when it comes to a film or television show, and sometimes it isn't. And if it's not, we move on to something else, because I can tell you we got people beating down our door right now wanting to film here, and so I want to make sure that it's the right project, that we're putting a whole lot of people to work in Oklahoma and filling up a lot of hotel rooms and caterers and things like that too.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference, right? When you kind of have that, you get the first few out the way, and now your value and your worth, right? And
yes,
and you have to kind of get those first few in.
You do,
and you've got to. I mean, it's just sales in general, right?
Yeah.
You kind of build a relationship, develop that, and then you kind of make more money on the back end.
It's true.
You know your value, but
it's true. And I've really tried to lean into our Native American heritage and history as Secretary of Tourism. It is why it's the biggest reason why we are generating the kind of revenue that we are. And I'm not talking about tribal gaming. I'm talking about people that flock to Oklahoma, both domestically around this country and around the world. They want to learn about that Native American heritage and history. And thankfully, the tribes are spending millions of dollars now promoting tourism. Mm-hmm. and they're getting very diversified. And so now we have, Chickasaw country, Choctaw country, and those are our tourism entities where all the counties in those areas are underneath them. And it's working really well. And again, on the film and television side, the native talent in movies and television, you talk about having a moment. They're finally getting their due. It's been long overdue. And they're just getting started. The Cherokee Nation is probably leading the way in Oklahoma when it comes to investments in film and television. And they have their own rebate program now, the Cherokee Nation does. And so I'm really excited to see how they grow over the next decade in Oklahoma too. But it's why Killers of the Flower Moon was so important to me, because of the landscapes that we're going to be able to show. And I think people are going to fall in love with the landscapes and the costume designs, and it's going to intrigue even more people to show up in Oklahoma to say, my gosh, where was that scene? Where was that scene? Because that was beautiful. And that was shot in, 2021, 2022. We can show you, you can go chase a whole lot of sunsets in Oklahoma, right? In that tall grass prairie area that Martin Scorsese just fell in love with. That's there, and that's not going anywhere. And I think we're going to have a whole lot of tourists flock to that part of the state after that movie comes out.
Yeah, they're not only going there just to go to Ree Drummond's place, right? They're going for other reasons as well.
And it can't be just for Ree.
Of course.
We have to get more diversified with our tourism industry. We have to get more diversified with our economy. It can't just be oil and gas, for example. It has to be aviation and aerospace. We get more diversified in both tourism and on more of the economic development side, we're going to fill up Oklahoma in the right way.
Yeah. My quick thanks and plug to two of my many sponsors, the Choctaw Nation and the Chickasaw Nation. They're fantastic, and both Governor Adams, he's been on the podcast. Hopefully, get him on again soon, and then Chief Batten is coming on shortly.
Good.
But yeah, they do amazing things for the state.
Yeah.
And I couldn't thank them enough.
Yeah.
As far as kind of the movie set, did you get to go up there and see all that dirt piled in the middle of the town?
I did.
They transformed it, right?
They did. They took it back in time. I need to get that picture framed because there was some drone footage of that downtown area.
Yeah.
It was your true classic, film set. Like if you think of like old school film sets, like that's what it was, and frankly, what I believe it should be again. Martin Scorsese's not doing CGI stuff, on this set. It's the real deal. So yes, I was there, and then when they filmed in Tulsa, I was able to be there and brought my daughter, which was certainly one of the better days in office was being able to bring my daughter, who's kind of into film. She's in a film class at Jinx High School, and she got to meet Martin Scorsese. I got the Dad of the Day award, Dad of the Month award for that, and it was a real special moment in my life.
That is really special to do that, and it's, and the same, which we'll get to, talking about the golf tournament, right? Like the golf tournaments that are coming to the state.
Yes.
Or a PGA Championship, and then you've got LIV, and then you've got the Corn Ferry tournament that's coming.
Yeah.
Thankfully you're in a position to get some access, right? But,
sure.
And it's, to give those experiences to your kids, that's special to do.
Well,
that. That forever.
You pivoted to it, so I'll mention it. I tell people all the time, I don't care if you golf or not. I golf. I love golfing, but you should care about bringing a golf tournament to Oklahoma because it generates millions of dollars in revenue and has such a big economic impact. Tulsa had the best tourism year in state history last year for their city. Why? PGA Championship. That was the biggest reason why. The Bassmaster Classic is coming back next year to Grand Lake. We'll have over 100,000 people visit Oklahoma because of it. So I don't care if you fish or not either, but you should care that all 4 million people in Oklahoma should care when we bring any sort of event to the state of Oklahoma that is generating an economic impact for those local communities. Because what taxpayers have to connect the dots on is, if we're not creating sales tax, if someone is not coming to your town and spending money, i.e. sales tax, creating that sales tax, then you're not going to be able to pay for your police and fire departments. Right. A mayor or a city manager in this state, we live or die on sales tax. we're actually way too dependent on sales tax as a state. But if we're going to continue to be that way, then you should care about bringing tournaments and conferences and conventions to the state of Oklahoma, because it generates a lot of good sales tax for us to keep your communities safe.
Yeah, and I mean, talking PGA Championship, right? Like, I think was it $200 something million?
Yeah,
it was a huge amount of money, right? And
huge.
then you go and you look at the Netflix documentary comes out, and Tulsa's like heavy presence.
Oh yeah.
And watch it like, this is so good.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Every episode there's a Tulsa reference
right.
in it.
Yeah.
How was that week for you? That's close to home.
That was my Super Bowl. That was my Super Bowl week for me. I mean, it was the largest event that we've brought to the city of Tulsa. It was one of the largest events in state history that put us on a international stage. I was out there every day doing interviews in the morning. We had a suite where we were hosting people from all over the country, all over the world. We brought in delegations from Italy and Canada. Our Department of Commerce was working on this for like a year prior to the PGA coming in. It was all hands on deck. It was all hands on deck, and it couldn't have gone better. I mean, the playoff at the end, Justin Thomas winning was kind of the cherry on top that we really showed off really well, and that's what I want. I just wanted to show off. I wanted to show people that it's, particularly the Tulsa area. I mean, it is green country. It's rolling green hills. It's not a dust bowl. It's extremely diverse. To your point of all these ecosystems that we have, and I think we showed that. I think we showed that on TV. We had a number of television ads that we ran during it as well. And we've had a couple companies even move here based upon them coming to Oklahoma and coming to Tulsa and seeing it. So it worked, and I hope we get another PGA to Southern Hills within the next 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, because, I mean, there's a history of it, right? This is, we've had at least a couple now, and a senior PGA as well, and that's kind of the test, right?
Yeah, I mean, Oak Tree. I think Oak Tree is in some talks on some tournaments. Obviously, you mentioned Corn Ferry up in Norman. That's a wonderful course up there, and we're creating this Oklahoma Golf Trail that's happening right now. We have commissioners meeting, and I'll report back to you. I'll let you tease out a couple of the courses that we select. I mean, if it gets people to Oklahoma, as I said, to Arkansas has a golf trail, for goodness sakes. If Arkansas has a golf trail, I get the Alabama Robert Trent Jones golf trail, but if Arkansas is promoting golf, then we should be promoting our golf courses, because I believe they're better. We have all these Perry Maxwell courses, and we're going to do more than just Perry Maxwell, but a bunch of those Perry Maxwell courses are going to be on the trail that are open to the public or can be open to the public. So we're excited about that too.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I think, just because we both love golf and we could nerd out about golf. Obviously Liv is in town this week again at Cedar Ridge, and Cedar Ridge is a fantastic golf course. It is. I'm glad it's got the opportunity to show off in front of the world. Whoever watches it or goes. Sure. But it's nice to know friends that are members that are so excited to host an event, because Cedar Ridge is overshadowed, right? By you've got Southern Hills, and then can people go up to Owasso for the Patriot?
You got the Forest Ridge, just a couple miles from Cedar Ridge.
Mm-hmm. So, what's your involvement this week?
I was there for kind of the kickoff, the welcome reception that was at the BMX national headquarters, because Oklahoma, is home to the world headquarters of BMX, which is awesome. Most people don't know that we even have that. It just opened up about a year ago, and so you had all these Liv players there. Like this, they were blown away. They were totally blown away at this reception last night. There's controversy around Liv and the back and forth between the PGA and Liv. The governor put out a statement: "Hey, welcome to Oklahoma." Again, if we truly are welcoming as we say we are, if you want to come to Oklahoma and come to Tulsa and spend a lot of money, because I assure you, they are spending a lot of money. They have a lot of money, and they are spending a lot of money. And I'll tell you, just personally, my boys, I've got an 8th grader and a 4th grade boy, they're totally into this team concept. And I do think the team concept works. I think it's real. And if Liv sticks around long enough for that to kind of catch on, I think the team aspect could be really cool, and that's why my boys want to go. They want to go meet the range goats. And they're a big fan of Taylor Gooch. I got to give Taylor Gooch a shout out here. He's one of the best ambassadors for the state of Oklahoma. If you have not had Taylor Gooch, you need to have Taylor Gooch on the podcast. But Oklahoma boy. born and raised. He's building a house here. He is not just a world-class golfer, but he's just a great guy, good family man too, and a wine connoisseur at that. By the way, I'm jealous of how much of an expert he is when it comes to wines too. So I'm gonna hopefully I get to hang out with him a little bit sometime. But I talked to him last night at the welcome reception. But it was really cool to kind of see him up there, and Abraham Answer and some of these other Oklahoma State and Oklahoma guys that are on that tour. I'm there to support them. I mean, that's ultimately why I'm going, is just to promote Oklahoma and to support our Oklahoma guys.
Yeah, I mean, talking about Taylor, like it's great to see Taylor's success, because he hasn't come up the way that most successful golfers have come up. He's come up playing public golf courses in Midwest City, right? And he, playing out of John Conrad, and just worked extremely hard. And, he's playing against a lot of guys when he gets to college, right, who have grown up in a country club, and that's a very privileged position to be in, especially in the US, whereas across the world it's a lot cheaper to play golf. But what Taylor's doing now with his foundation, he's committed to sponsoring a lot of the OGA events, right? And he's a big part of Oklahoma golf. And I know he flew in to see surprise 6A state championship winners. I mean,
dude, I mean, you talk about a guy, living his best life right now, but you know what? He's a hustler. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned it, because he grew up, this is a blue collar golfer. Mm-hmm. Yes, he's got money now, of course, yes, but man, this guy still hustles for a living. He does it the right way. I'm saying hustler in a positive way. This guy's worked his tail off to get where he is, and he's still a blue collar guy. He's never lost who he truly is, and he knows what his true north is. And I'm glad he's an Oklahoman.
Yeah, for sure. Talk a little bit about Korn Ferry Tour. The one thing I love about the Korn Ferry Tour is the fact that they've signed a 5-year deal. Yes. Right? So Mark Lammert, CEO of Compliance
ORU
Solutions.
ORU grad.
Yeah. He's committed to hosting this event in Norman at Jimmy Austin for the next 5 years, which, and I have a personal kind of side of that. Like, I work for the tour on that side now as well. Yeah. But it's great for me as a sales guy to say, hey, it's going to be here for the next 5 years.
Oh, I totally agree.
Let's build a relationship.
So that's mid-June, right?
Yeah, June 22nd.
Yeah, so this will come out before then. Yeah. So I would just say those that are listening to this right now, support that tournament. Mm-hmm. Get out there, buy tickets, volunteer for a lot of reasons. But Mark wanted to bring a tournament to Oklahoma. But to your point of signing a 5-year deal, we need to support this guy and support this. And Korn Ferry, again, all the future stars or most of the future stars are on the Korn Ferry Tour. It's a beautiful course. It's very walkable. So get out there to Norman and support this tournament, Jimmy Austin Country Club.
There's a lot of OU guys, OU grads that should be playing that are on the tour at the moment. OSU grads as well. We've got the good thing about Oklahoma, PGA Championship was a little different. I think we had Taylor and Abraham Ansel, probably the two kind of OU local guys. Liv obviously has a lot of OSU presence, and Abraham Ansel as well. And then Korn Ferry Tour, you've got so many Oklahoma golfers as well. So it's not like we're just hosting these events. We have local players who have grown up playing the golf courses that you played or your kids played or whatever it is. Right. And it's I love golf, so I think it's going to be so much fun to be out there, and I'm kind of honored to be a part of it from the logistics side. Good. I've never seen that before, right? It's fun to be inside the ropes, but working inside the ropes rather than just walking around with a pass and shaking hands.
I agree.
It's awesome. Yeah, I'm super excited, and Jimmy Austin again, another fantastic golf course.
Oh man, they've dumped a lot of money into that course. It looks special.
So moving on, you mentioned kind of business, you mentioned aviation and aerospace. One of the things I'm extremely jealous about, one of the experiences you've had, you flew in a Blue Angels jet, right?
I did.
I saw that and I was like, if I have one goal in life, it's to fly in a fighter jet. How do I get a media pass for that?
It was the most intimidating thing I've ever done in my life. I was I show up, so the F-16 National Guard in the Tulsa area. I loved the experience, but it's tight in there. And it's a little claustrophobic. And you take off. We did a 10,000 foot immediate takeoff to upside down. We refueled in the air, which he wasn't even sure we were going to be able to do, but we were able to do that. And you'll fly around for like 10 minutes. It's like, okay, well, we're in Kansas. I'm like, oh gosh, I forgot how far you can go that fast.
it was insane.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It was the whole experience was just completely insane. I loved it, but I have such even more of a respect for those that do it. The gentleman that I was flying with, code name Jam was his name. He was an Oklahoma guy. Actually graduated high school the same year that I graduated high school. Dude was just like he looked like something straight out of Top Gun. I mean, he looked the part.
Yeah.
Just total stud, and spent a lot of time overseas and a lot of different wars. And again, just props to our military that we are able to sleep soundly in our beds because of what those heroes do for us.
Yeah, it's what an experience.
Oh,
right?
it is. Yeah,
it's incredible, and there's ways to get into a fighter jet, maybe, right, through certain ways, but the fact that you're in a Blue Angel, right, like the best of the best, kind of doing all the stunts and stuff, and he's probably surprising you. His goal is probably to make you chunder, right?
Oh,
like,
we
that's
did.
His whole
he
goal.
told me exactly when I was going to throw up. He goes, okay, well, this is where, and it wasn't when you're flying around. It wasn't when you're pulling G's. It wasn't any of that. It's when you're about to land again, because you're recalibrating. It's like your brain.
Yeah.
It truly is. He goes, you're off.
Sure.
And obviously they get used to it because this is where you're going to throw up.
Yeah.
And I did. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. I have no shame whatsoever. I was prepared for it, but it was an experience of a lifetime.
Yeah. Well, so continuing on with that, then obviously aerospace and aviation is a massive industry in Oklahoma. Unless you live close to Air Force bases, you probably don't even think about it.
Right.
But for just to educate people listening on how big the business is, and then who are we trying to get in? Who do we have in with? Obviously, we have Boeing, but a little bit more information.
It's a really important question and point because our aerospace and aviation industry very well could be the number one industry in the state of Oklahoma within 10 years. Now, I want oil and gas 365 24/7, but this aerospace and aviation industry is just growing so much. They need so many more employees at these companies that they may they're getting that big. So we have protected our military bases in Oklahoma over multiple decades. During BRAC shutdowns, we've protected our military bases.
And because of that, you have the Boeings and Raytheons and Lockheed Martins and others that they do federal contracts on these military bases. That's kind of where it started. That we are our brand in Oklahoma is very good when it comes to aviation and aerospace. And defense industry work is specifically what I'm talking about. Well, now you have drone technology industry that's growing. You have a space exploration industry that is growing. That will not be for billionaires much longer. Right. And you combine all of that, and lo and behold, you wake up one morning in Oklahoma, you're like, my gosh, this is now the second largest industry in our state, and it's only getting bigger. It's only getting better. These are high-paying jobs. Tinker Air Force Base which is still the largest employer in the state of Oklahoma, they could hire every graduating engineer in the state of Oklahoma and still need thousands more. I mean, it's crazy to think about that. So we are competing though with a lot of other states. A lot of states want to be known as an aerospace state too, but they don't have the infrastructure that we have. They don't have the advantages that we have. So it's what I'm most excited about when it comes to companies that may be looking to relocate to Oklahoma within the next 10 years. I think a lot of it is going to be in the aerospace aviation space, and we want those jobs.
Yeah. I think moving on a little bit, last time we spoke, you either had just come back from Thailand, maybe, or you'd done a trip. Are we still, I know you mentioned hosting at the PGA Championship. Are you still traveling? Are we still trying to get outside?
We are, yeah. It was Taiwan. Yeah, it was in Taiwan. We led a delegation there with a couple other states. And I mean, Taiwan's a perfect example of strategically, we should be in Taiwan a lot right now for unfortunate reasons with, the relationship between Taiwan and China right now, and companies in Taiwan that need to reshore operations to the States. And so we are aggressively pursuing businesses in Taiwan. I will be in Israel in November. The governor is doing multiple international trips. The governor does the Paris Air Show every year, and that's really where every aerospace and aviation and big, again, the Raytheons and Lockheed Martins of the world, Boeings of the world are all there. Yeah. It's probably our most important international trip that we do every year, and so the governor will be there. But the short answer is yes. We're aggressively hustling around the country, making sure that people know that Oklahoma is the best place to live, work, and raise a family.
Yeah, definitely. It's got to be done, right? We've got to bring people in.
Yeah.
And I know, people, we tried to get Tesla, right? It didn't work out. We got Canoe instead and a bunch of other stuff. People are coming in. But it's not just those who make, there's so many businesses that are coming in.
And listen, we're not going to win every deal.
No, of course not.
But we're in rooms today that we were not in 10 years ago. The two largest deals that we closed in state history, the Google plant in Pryor and an expansion nitrogen plant in Enid. Both of those deals were about $1 billion. Yeah. Right now, we're talking to 7 different companies that and all 7 of those deals are over $1 billion. Now, are we going to close all 7 of them? Probably not. But we have to put this in perspective here. That we are doing a very good job of reaching out to companies and companies aggressively looking at our state, and it's we're getting it down to between us and one other state, or between us and one other country, and we'll deliver on deals once we start getting into those kind of rooms.
Yeah, definitely. All right, finishing up. So some fun questions. What are you reading right now?
I am reading a book actually by Trey Gowdy called Stay, Leave. It's about making decision making, and I've always enjoyed Trey Gowdy, and he left politics and is doing a lot of consulting work. He's on TV a lot still. So, but yeah, I'm reading his book right now about decision making, how to make smart decisions in life.
Yeah, TV shows. What do you guys watch binging with the family?
Yeah. That's a good one. So. I'm Better Call Saul, the final season of Better Call Saul.
Someone told me about that yesterday.
Oh my gosh, I think it's as good as Breaking Bad.
That's exactly what my friend said yesterday.
And it ticks me off that he never won any. He never won an Emmy because it's such a competitive space, lead male. But Better Call Saul is something I'm finishing the final season, which I'm kind of depressed by because when it's over, then it's over.
Yeah. Food. Do we have a go-to? I mean, what's the favorite? Are you a grill person?
I kind of do it all when it comes to food. There's some staples, fried chicken and mashed potatoes and collard greens and those kind of Oklahoma staples. I love soul food like that. But my wife's really into sushi, and I got a 17-year-old who is much more of a foodie than even I am. So we're doing some Indian food now. So I kind of do above. But if I'm out and I get a pick, I mean it's usually soul food somewhere or Mexican. Mm-hmm. I can definitely pound some guac and chips too. And we have amazing diversity in our food in Oklahoma. Yeah. And thankfully now we're talking a whole lot about it. Mm-hmm.
Golf course you want to play next?
Yeah, so golf course I want to play next. I'm pretty spoiled rotten. I play most of the golf courses in Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. I am going to Whistling Straits this year with a group of lieutenant governors, and so I'm excited about that in kind of August. And I think I'm going to get up to Sand Valley at some point as well in Wisconsin. That trip may be before even Whistling, and then around the state, it's we'll have to do a deeper dive on our state park golf courses. But I'm very sensitive to helping make our state park golf courses better, and so I'll be down in Broken Bow in June, and I'll play Cedar Creek, our golf course down there.
Is that the one that had some?
Yeah, we did some renovations to it. It's looking better than it's looked in a really long time. We got rid of a lot of the trees. Mm-hmm. It's growing, grass is growing, but it's a golf course that's kind of tucked back 2 miles into the woods, where Bigfoot lives down there in southeastern Oklahoma, and it's pine line fairways. It's a really cool course.
Bigfoot's a tourist attraction.
Heck yeah, it is.
Right?
Heck yeah, yeah. Don't take my word for it. Go see it down in southeastern Oklahoma. Yeah.
You also have your Pinnell Classic every
year. Yeah. At Shangri-La.
That place looks incredible.
It looks incredible. The new par 3 up there. I haven't seen it yet, but it will in September. And again, those listening, you want to play it. And by the way, the proceeds of that tournament go to we donate the money to a tourism attraction in the state of Oklahoma to help renovate a tourism attraction. We've helped upgrade the Luther filling station on Route 66. We did a project in Hollis, Oklahoma. So yeah, that's in mid-September. Shangri-La is a true resort destination now because of Eddie Gibbs and what he's been able to do up there. Over $100 million has been invested in Shangri-La.
Yeah, what Eddie has done and what Ben is kind of taking over and doing as well, it's unbelievable what he's doing.
Yeah.
A guy that kind of develops a patent for fencing, makes $500 million, whatever it is, and decides to stay in Oklahoma and develop Grand Lake.
Well, and I'll end on that point. Mm-hmm. I think we far too often we accept mediocrity as a state. We historically, and we should expect more than just being okay. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma is more than okay. We put that on the license plate for far too long. Yeah. And when we do things in an excellent way, taxpayers will reward that. Mm-hmm. And Shangri-La is an example of that. Carlton Landing and on Lake Eufaula. What? You're going to build Seaside, Florida on Lake Eufaula? Yes. Yeah. The Humphreys did. And it's full because of it. So we have to recognize that. That's why I fixed our state parks and fixed our welcome centers and demanded more than just mediocrity. And guess what? Now they're making money. Yeah. And I think we need to do that across the state in multiple industries.
Yeah. Last question, since Route 66 is coming up, 100th birthday. If you were to drive Route 66 in any car, what would it be?
Oh, man, in any car. Well, it's, some sort of a Mustang convertible. And by the way, we're opening a hotel on Route 66 that's going to have a classic car rental, like, one of the car garages. And I think it's just a perfect idea because, that's what Paul McCartney did and others that kind of drove through. They wanted to but, listen, there's nothing better than renting a classic Mustang convertible and driving the American back roads of Route 66 and all the whimsical towns and characters that you're going to meet along the way. It's there's nothing better, and people are flocking here because of it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. For everyone listening, I will put the link to your Instagram because you're very active on Instagram and your Twitter in the description down below, and we will catch you next episode. Cheers. Hope you guys enjoyed that great episode. Thank you so much for listening. As always, huge shout out to our sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, sharing Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at oklahomahof. Our other sponsor, the Chickasaw Nation, amazing sponsor. They do amazing things for the state, and they're always sponsoring something in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and without their support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And our third sponsor is Diffie Ford Lincoln down in El Reno. Now, this one makes me so happy because these guys are great friends of mine, play a lot of golf together. I've bought my cars from them, do most of my oil changes down there, have a cup of coffee, hang out down in El Reno. It's a good spot to go. And not only are they great friends, but they provide a great service. So for over 60 years, third generation family owned Oklahoma business down in El Reno. They're also in Bethany as well. So people in the Bethany area know the Diffies really well. But if you're looking for anything new, used, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, I'm sure they could find anything you want. Check them out, diffieford.net, and then on Instagram at diffiefordlincoln. This episode is presented by the Choctaw Nation. The Choctaw people have a rich history and a bright future. At the Choctaw Cultural Center, you can take part in a story 14,000 years in the making. Stroll through our immersive exhibits portraying Choctaw life from the moment our ancestors emerged from the Nani Weha in Mississippian homelands to the Trail of Tears, where we lost so many loved ones, and finally to the modern-day tribe making a positive impact on local communities throughout southeastern Oklahoma. Try your hand at our social dancing and stickball and learn more about our vibrant culture through demonstrations, workshops, and classes. The kids will have a blast in our Luxie Activity Center. The Choctaw Cultural Center is more than a museum. It's a living, breathing experience. Visit ChoctawCulturalCenter.com to plan your visit. This podcast is brought to you by the Oklahoma Beef Council. On behalf of Oklahoma's 50,000 beef farming and ranching families, we are working hard every day to bring high-quality beef to your table. To learn more, visit oklabeef.org. That's oklabeef.org, linked below. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.